Dotting the arid grasslands of Namibia are millions of barren patches of land, each roughly 10-40 feet in diameter. These parched disks stand in stark contrast to the grasses and semi-arid shrubs that make up the landscape surrounding them. Known locally as fairy circles, these strange bald spots have intrigued and mystified humans for decades. To the Himba people, native to the Namib Desert, in which the circles are found, they are the footprints of the gods. Spanish explorers in the 16th century believed they denoted gold beneath the surface. Later theories held that termites or plants releasing soil toxins caused the arid rings, before a fringe idea emerged that radioactive ants might be behind the phenomenon. It's an enduring enigma that has inspired rumor, speculation, and lively debate in the scientific community. In recent years, significant strides have been made in unraveling the secrets of Namibia's fairy circles. Yet even now in 2023, more than 400 years after Europeans first documented the bizarre formations, many questions and contradictions remain unsettled. This article will explore the key mysteries, theories, and revelations to date around the life and death cycles of these strange grassland gaps. Chapter 1. What creates the fairy circles? The central debate. For decades, the leading theories behind what causes fairy circles fell into two camps: termites and plants. On one side, entomologists proposed that sand termites burrow underground, consuming grass roots and causing the barren patches above them. The behavior allows them to harvest moisture from the soil below to survive in the arid climate. In the opposing corner, geographers and ecologists argued for an explanation based on plants competing for scarce resources underground. In this version, the fairy circles are created not by termites actively burrowing, but by grasses and shrubs releasing allelopathic chemicals into the soil that prevents other plants in a circular area from growing. Both theories accounted for some aspects of the circles, but also failed to explain some key features. New research adds to the mystery. In 2013, new research only deepened the mystery around the fairy circle life cycle. Findings from a 27-year study tracking fairy circles in a region of Namibia showed that the barren gaps appear and disappear in remarkably regular cycles. The soil patches grow from nothing to around 45 feet across, exist for 24 years on average, then vanish again over the next century as grasses recolonize the circles. Then the process repeats, with new fairy circles appearing close by to restart the phase. The strange cyclic pattern, reminiscent of clockwork, had never been documented before. Nor could it easily be explained by either of the long-standing theories about what causes the circles. The behavior of the fairy circles staying in place for over 2 decades seems difficult to square with the idea that termite colonies underneath are actively burrowing, then moving elsewhere. And the plant toxin model does not provide an obvious reason why toxins would appear, disappear, and reappear with such regularity in nearly the exact same locations over time. In 2016 and 2017, 4 research papers were published proposing various modifications to the termite and plant theories to account for the newly discovered life cycle. But all of them have holes, and the mystery has only compounded. The alien theory emerges. In 2018, an attention-grabbing new explanation entered the fray. A paper published in Science by ecologist Norbert Jürgens studied the vast hexagonal grid pattern made from millions of fairy circles sprinkling the Namib grasslands. He controversially proposed that this striking regularity resembles self-organized vegetation systems seen elsewhere in nature. Most radically, Jürgens' paper suggests an outrageous hypothetical cause: the barren disks could be created by energy or plasma beams emanating from alien spaceships hovering over the desert for extended stays. By burning grass and regularly spaced circles beneath them, this could in theory produce the strange pattern over time. While seen by many as fanciful, outrageous, or borderline crank science, Jürgens' theory does have an alluring logic about it. If further evidence consistent with alien activity emerges from fairy circle sites in the future, it promises to ignite one of the most explosive scientific controversies of our time. Chapter 2. What sustains life inside fairy circles? Lush oases within. Yet amidst the bleak exterior of fairy circles lies an interior oasis, belying the sterility seen from above. When viewed from ground level, most fairy circles conceal a subterranean world teeming with life and activity. Grasses growing inside the ring itself remain mysteriously verdant, even during droughts. Digging mere inches beneath the sand and hard-packed soil reveals spongy layers of organic material and loosening sediments containing stores of water and nutrients. This underground environment facilitates all manner of organisms and ecologies. The bare surface disguises from view tiny cyanobacteria, lichens, and accumulations of dead plant materials populate the shallow subsoil, likely supporting fungi and larger microbial life. Invertebrates are likewise abundant inside the circles. Collembola species such as springtails and young spiders can number 500,000 per square meter, thriving under the surface far more than in the area outside rings. Larger insects like ants, termites, and larvae also reside in sizable quantities, in addition to an abundance of nematodes and microscopic roundworms. Reptiles too, like the web-footed gecko, carve out homes, exploiting the protected underground resources. How the heightened levels of nutrients and moisture supporting this vibrant subsurface biomass remain sustained even through harsh desert conditions is another puzzling question about the fairy circles. Theories behind the subterranean nourishment. A number of recent observations have shed some light on why the interiors of fairy circles may remain so mysteriously fecund. Condensation from fog or dew brought in by sea breezes may provide key stores of moisture. Studies show fairy circles often align closely with the direction of prevailing fogs and winds from the Atlantic, facilitating underground water accumulation. Cyanobacteria living under the surface may fix nitrogen levels and produce compounds facilitating moisture retention even during dry spells. Accumulations of dead organic plant material may serve as a compost system, trapping vital nutrients over repeated growth cycles. This could explain why new fairy circles tend to appear near where previous ones have closed. Termites may actively hoard water and nutrients underground, providing concentrated resource stores, enabling other life to thrive. Yet even taken together, these factors do not seem adequate to explain the sheer densities of organisms and the hydration levels observed down to 6 feet under inside mature fairy circles. The panspermia theory. Perhaps most incredibly, a 2019 study even suggested that vital sources of water and nutrients inside fairy circles may have extraterrestrial origins. Biochemist Elijah Harris put forth a radical panspermia-based model, arguing that cosmic dust, micrometeorites, and containing exotic microorganisms may periodically shower the region. Trapped in the soil layers of the circles, these space-originating materials would supply essential compounds, enabling life to emerge even in extremely harsh surface circumstances. Mainstream biologists have tended to dismiss the unorthodox panspermia explanation as speculative science fiction. All the same, if verification ever emerged of amino acids or lipid cell wall materials inside fairy circles, matching those found in carbonaceous meteorites or comets, the field would undergo a seismic shift overnight. Chapter 3. Why do animals behave strangely at fairy circle sites? Peculiar animal activity. Beyond the questions of their origins and life cycle, fairy circles have presented scientists with yet another enduring puzzle: why animals act so strangely around them. Insects, reptiles, birds, and mammals have all exhibited behavior around the barren patches considered odd for the species. Dragonflies hover in place above them without landing. Beetles congregate along their edges while avoiding the center. Sand lizards 40 cm long show no fear of avian predators when inside fairy circles, but flee and freeze like normal outside them. Ostrich walk long distances to nest in the middle of fairy circles, despite more suitable breeding grounds nearby. Birds like the chestnut-vented tip babbler roost on plants along their periphery. Ants bridge fairy circles via pheromone trails without crossing inside them. Springbok gravitate toward eating plants around the outer ring rather than those growing inward. Researchers have put forward various proposals potentially explaining some aspects of this abnormal animal activity. Thermal advantages from cooler soil allowing creatures to regulate body temperature. Improved visibility of predators in the bare patches, allowing prey to detect threats sooner. pheromones or allelopathic compounds released by plants deterring herbivores. Yet none account for the full diversity of unusual instincts and behaviors wild species exhibit specifically around fairy circles compared to surrounding savanna. It remains an ongoing biological puzzle around Namibia's strange and marvelous desert phenomenon, the supernatural theory. In 2021, ethnobiologist Alia Hodari gained fame, becoming one of the first mainstream researchers to publicly ask whether supernatural factors influence animal behaviors at fairy circle sites. Hodari spent 18 months embedded within Himba villages conducting ethnographic interviews with dozens of tribal leaders, shamans, and hunters about their oral history and folklore related to fairy circles. She documented a consistent cultural tradition around fairy circles, indicating they are openings between the everyday world or Manawo and the underworld or Manakay. They facilitate passage of spirits between worlds on solstices and equinoxes. Animals can perceive and interact with spirits, influencing their visible behaviors. Subsequent papers by Hodari's team revealed Aboriginal rock art in caves near the Yugub River depicting fairy circles with figures resembling multi-dimensional plasmas or atmospheric ghost lights seemingly being summoned from them. The ancient paintings notably predate modern settler contact, undermining skeptical charges they reflect imported Western mythologies. Could such findings lend credence to the possibility that preternatural forces genuinely do shape unusual animal and human actions near fairy circle sites, as Himba legends insist is the case? Or can orthodox behavioral biology yet account for these eccentric activities in the context of natural selection? Either way, the mystical cultural practices still performed ritualistically at these locations today compel examination by serious ethnographers. Conclusion: the fairy circles dotting Namibia's forbidden wilderness remain an enigma, defying consensus to this day. The life cycles, ecologies, and animal behaviors at these sites confound pat explanations. As the Himba have told outsiders for centuries, the deeper reality shaping these barren patches in the world's oldest desert transcends rational scientific models. The truth stretches beyond the tangible world, accessible merely to our five ordinary senses. To genuinely unravel the deepest secrets of the fairy circles, we must first expand the possibilities of what we consider real, observable, and provable under the limits of today's science.